Hey everybody, what's up? This is Lloyd from thenewwayfitness.com, and today is Free Lunch Friday, aka whatever I want to talk about. And I've got a question that was asked on Facebook. Somebody asked me this question. They wanted me to do a video on intermittent fasting. Now, I don't have a lot of knowledge about this, but I wanted to do some research and try to give a fairly informative and accurate video on my opinion of intermittent fasting. So I've got some information printed out, 3 pages, and this video might be fairly long, so grab a drink or something and enjoy. So let's just get right into it. So what is intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting, or IF, is a pattern of eating that alternates between periods of fasting. Usually you're consuming H2O during this time, can be any time period, and periods of non-fasting. So some evidence does suggest that IF may be beneficial and have beneficial effects on health and longer life of animals and maybe humans. Similar effects are also the same with caloric restriction, which means you restrict your calories, to the point of almost like malnourishment. However, a sufficient, powered, long-term, randomized clinical trial of caloric restriction in humans hasn't been done, so we can't really say that it's the same effects as IF. So we're unable to know if IF actually prolongs the human life. There's various forms of intermittent fasting. I'll go over some quick common ones so you guys can get a general idea. So a specific form of IF is alternate day fasting, ADF, also known as EOD, every other day fasting. It's a 48-hour routine typically, composed of 24 hours of fasting, followed by 24 hours of non-fasting. Various experiments that people are doing, like the 24, which is 20 hours of fasting, 4 hours of non-fasting, the Fast 5, 19 hours of fasting versus 5 hours of non-fasting, and the 16-8, 16 hours of fasting, 8 hours of non-fasting. The problem here, you got to make sure if you're going to try this, is to stay away from eating one huge meal. Eating one huge meal per day can actually worsen your cardiovascular risk factors for cardiovascular disease. Data shows that IF, when done properly, might help extend life, regulate the blood glucose control, blood lipids, LDL, HDL, manage your body weight, and you can gain or maintain lean body mass and more. Increased fat burning, increased growth hormone release later on in the fast. It's the benefits. It improves your appetite control, the blood sugar control, pretty much all the stuff that it says it can do, right? First off is that everyone's already pretty much doing intermittent fasting. When you go to sleep, whatever time it is, you're going to be sleeping for X amount of hours. During that time, you're not going to be waking up halfway through to go eat, usually. I doubt you're going to go to sleep at 8 p.m., wake up at 2 a.m. or midnight to go eat, and then go back to sleep. It's not going to work. So we're pretty much already doing intermittent fasting, and a lot of us can see the benefits. In the morning we feel better, have more energy, things like that, just due to fasting during sleep. But of course, having the more improved benefits, you have to do prolonged fasting. Since the current research is showing that to get most benefit, you would have to do 20 to 24 hours of fasting. Here's the problem with intermittent fasting. Most of the research to date has been done on animal models, which means rats, dogs, whatever. And it showed good data for them, while they're a convenient test subject, they're not humans, right? So there is some difference there. Based on the available research, we're left with, questions, lots of questions. So nothing is really definite. We have a small study that's been done on humans that I found online. Like I said, it's small, so it's only got 8 individuals in this study, but I'm going to read some of the data from it, and you can take it for what you want. So we've got 8 healthy young Caucasian men, age 25. Keyword healthy, okay? They're not obese, they're already healthy, right? 2 days before the experiments, the subjects were instructed to eat at least 250 grams of carbs each day and to avoid strenuous exercise. Throughout the intervention, the subjects were instructed to uphold their normal exercise habits, to maintain their usual macronutrient mixing of their meals, and to eat sufficient quantities of food on the non-fasting days to ensure that the body weight was stable. Subjects were examined on 2 occasions, before and after 14 days of fasting, every second day for 20 hours, given 7 fasting periods total. So we've got 8 guys, 25 years old, they're healthy. They only did 7 fasting periods over about 2 weeks. So each fasting period started at 2200 and ended at 1800 the following day. During the fast periods, the subjects were allowed to drink water and were instructed to maintain their normal activities. So after all that, I'm just going to get to the results. The body weight was maintained stable throughout the experiment, and percent body fat was also unchanged before compared with the after fasting intervention. The level of their normal daily lives and their physical activity didn't decrease during the fasting days. So with that, the average heart rate during the daytime was not different during the fasting compared with the non-fasting days. The study talks a little bit about the thrifty gene, or the thrifty gene, whichever you want to call it. It's a hypothesis that states, back prehistoric, ancient times, we were able to have this gene that allowed us to store fat a lot quicker. During times of famine, we wouldn't have to worry about losing weight because we would be able to have it kind of like a bear in hibernation. That way they were able to live off versus the other ones that would die off. This is what the findings were. Long story short. The findings that intermittent fasting increases insulin sensitivity on the whole body level, as well as the adipose tissue, which is your body fat, support the views that cycles of feast and famine are important as an initiator of thrifty genes, which I just went over, leading to improvements in metabolic function. Finally, the data indicates that intermittent fasting and physical training may increase insulin action via different mechanisms because energy stores did not change with the present fasting intervention. So basically right now, we need more research, I think. This is all I could find, but it really comes down to one of the 7 granddaddy laws, which is the principle of individual differences. Which means you're different than me, and what works for you may not work for me. So intermittent fasting may work great for some people watching this video, but for some other people it may not do anything, or it may actually make their problems worse or make their diet worse, or totally opposite of their goals. So it comes down to trying it out for yourself, seeing if it works. If it does, then hey, there's a little bit of research backing it up. But as for myself, what I'm doing right now seems to be working great, so I'm going to stick with that. But we're all kind of already doing intermittent fasting when we're sleeping, right? This is just pretty much fasting another 8 hours or so, or another 12 hours. So take it as you will, and let me know what you guys think. This has been Lloyd for Free Lunch Friday at thenewwayfitness.com. Please visit our website below and subscribe up above. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Remember to be the change.